All right, this is the Lift for All newsletter for July. The first article is called If You're Scared, Do It Scared. If You're a Mess, Do It Messy. For a long time in my life, ages 18 to 32, I struggled with severe depression, as in, I dropped out of school and struggled to leave the house. During this time, I had an idea of what a healthy person looked like. To me, a healthy person would do yoga or stretch their body. A healthy person would eat healthy, 3 servings of vegetables and 2 of fruit. A healthy person would run every day or almost every day. A healthy person would write in their journal. A healthy person would remember to carry a water bottle and drink water. A healthy person would have hobbies. I found myself picturing doing these things comforting, believing that there was a future that could exist for me where I was able to complete all these tasks. I imagined wearing a cute outfit as I neatly did balancing poses in my home yoga studio, blocks stacked neatly nearby, a cold bottle of ice water within reach, my yoga mat complementing my outfit nicely. I imagined making power bowls of grains, fruits, and veggies, eating yogurt with granola, fruit, and honey. I imagined myself running several fast miles a day. At the time, I wasn't sure what fast was since I had not yet even run a full mile in my life. Wearing equally cute running outfits and nice running shoes. I imagined journaling in a fancy journal, filling pages with neat, almost calligraphy. I imagined having a huge collection of water bottles so that I could find one that matched my activities for the day with slivers of fruit mixed in. I imagined a huge variety of hobbies that I would be actually good at. I fought depression for almost a decade before it officially receded. This is a different story for a different time. During much of this time, I maintained imagining these imagined goals for myself, convinced that my healthy life would match my imagined goals. Today, almost 2 decades since I was first depressed, I do all the things I imagined I would, except I do them differently. I always believed that if I did these things, they would magically transform me into a put-together person. The truth is, they do not. For example, I do yoga in my PJs. Most mornings, I only do 10 minutes of yoga. I'm lucky if I can find my blocks. I've currently been missing one of them for almost 2 months. Sometimes I can't even find my yoga mat and end up doing it with a towel. I'm certainly not doing balancing poses, and I still wobble even on basic ones. I do eat my 3 servings of veggies and 2 fruits most days of the week, but I almost never make food with them. Sometimes I squat in front of my fridge and shove a cup of spinach in my mouth like I'm a feral raccoon squirting some dressing from the bottle directly to my mouth. Other days I eat cans of green beans directly from the can and call it about 2 servings, despite the fact I know that it's only 1.5. Once, I took my bean can with me to a school event and ate them in the parking lot before walking into a presentation. Yes, people saw me. Sure, I run every day, or almost, but I only do long runs once a week. And can you really call it running if some days they're 18-minute miles? Yeah, sure, other days are 11 or 12-minute miles, but there are days when I run, and some days when I just walk. Oh, and no cute running outfits either. If I run in the morning, I wear my PJs, and if I run in the afternoon, I wear my school clothes. I wear my school sneakers too, saving my running shoes for special occasions. I do journal every day, but do I have a nice journal? No. I found the only way for me to be consistent in journaling is to use an app on my phone, an idea that my 18-year-old self would have found horrendous, but something that my 36-year-old self can live with because it's been the only thing that works. For years, I tried to get myself consistent with notebooks, and it never clicked. This works. I do supplement my journal with fancy notebooks with sloppy writing, but my only consistency is with this app, which consists of daily questions, they're the same every day, a spot to write about my day, and a checklist I made. If anyone wants to see the template, I'm happy to share it. I am pretty good at carrying a water bottle, but I have just one that I take everywhere. The water is not always cold, I never put ice in it, and I certainly don't ever make fruit water. I lose it a few times a week, too. I have some super cool hobbies, every single one of which are hard for me. But that doesn't matter, because the truth is, I love my hobbies anyway. The truth is, the items from this checklist were added in during my long recovery from depression when I was varying degrees of a mess. Practicing self-forgiveness and accepting that I need to meet myself where I was at. I really wanted to put the word at in there, guys. Was an important part of my recovery. We say, if you're scared, do it scared a lot. But I would like to introduce the sister saying, if you're a mess, do it messy. Doing certain things don't magically make you a put-together person, but they can make you the best version of yourself. So, maybe you don't get through your child's whole assignment every day. Maybe for you, checking 3 things off their practice assignment each day is how you practice. Maybe you don't practice note finding every single day, but you make a point to do it once a week. Perhaps you don't remember to play the CD 30 minutes a day, but you do put it on all of Sunday afternoon, so your kids are still hearing it. When you started lessons, maybe you imagined preparing different practice games every single day, but now you end up playing I Spy and 20 questions every single practice break. Maybe sometimes practice is your child playing and you yelling corrections and reminders from the other room as you help your other child with their math homework. Sure, some weeks you print the practice chart, but other weeks maybe you just peek at it on your phone. Maybe you do watch the piano videos at the piano some weeks, but other videos you put them on other weeks you put them in the car because they drown out the sound of your kids arguing. Showing up doesn't need to look a certain kind of way. It doesn't need to be perfect. Practice doesn't need to be the whole sheet every day. Listening doesn't need to be exactly 30 minutes. Don't wait until you're magically perfect to try practicing. That day might not ever come. Showing up the way you are, where you're at, is good enough. It matters. If you're a mess, do it messy, because messy is infinitely better than not at all. July Studio Recital. The July Studio Recital is on July 26th. It is at Mark Custom Recording Service, Inc. in Clarence. There are multiple time slots still available, both before and after noon. Slightly before noon. If you have not registered, please register here. Yeah, seriously, guys, if you haven't registered yet, please make sure that you register, because I really want to be able to get out the time slots to everybody, and I can't until I have at least a few people who have said they're going to do the recital finish filling out their registrations. I'm going to try to do it early this week, though, so as soon as you can, please. I strongly encourage all students of all ages and all abilities to participate in this event. This is not where you have to be able to play a full song unassisted. This is not where you need to be a certain age. This is everybody. Please register ASAP if you plan to participate in this event so that I can make the schedule and get the time slots out to everybody. This is one of the 3, quote, required, unquote, events for the year. Each mini recital will be less than 30 minutes and will have 4 to 8-ish performers. Each student will have multiple attempts to play if they wish, so that everyone leaves the event happy with their performance. After, students will receive a goodie bag of treats to eat after the event. Additionally, after it has been edited, students will receive a professional level recording of themselves playing. Next article. When you have 2 kids or friends or cousins on totally different levels. This article is about having 2 siblings or having a friend or a cousin on a totally separate level. This happens more frequently than you might think, as all children progress at vastly different rates. Many years ago, and I'll add a couple notes here that I didn't have room to fit in the newsletter. This was many years ago. This was like almost 2 decades ago, over a decade ago. And I do change a little bit of the story so that it's not, people aren't able to figure out who this family was from the story. Just, I don't want you guys to worry, oh, we did this, she's going to tell a story about it someday anonymously. I have changed the details enough. Anyway, many years ago, I had several students from the same extended family. 4 of them were in early elementary at the same time. Of the 4 early elementary kids, 2 were in Book 2. This is extraordinary and extremely unusual. 1 was in late Book 1, also extraordinary, and 1 was beginning to put hands together. This is a huge accomplishment as well. All 4 of the students were dedicated practicers who carefully went through their assignments and did their listening. Having an early elementary child playing hands together is a huge accomplishment. This is something that often takes years of lessons. To compare, with an adult student practicing daily, it usually takes about 9 months to get hands together work. This is actually true, quick side note, special for you newsletter listeners. This is actually true for non-Suzuki students as well. They often take about 9 months. I've talked to teachers, other teachers, and they say for older teens and adults, it usually takes about 9 months of actual practice to get to hands together. Anyway, however, the mother of this child did not see that. All that she saw was her child was behind. She constantly compared her daughter to her other family members and frequently asked me how her daughter could, quote, catch up. I was a relatively new teacher, and I was unsure how to explain what a huge compliment hands together at such a young age was. Unfortunately, the mom ended up having her daughter quit and focus on another activity that the mom reported her daughter was, quote, better at. It has been over a decade, and I still feel sad that I was not able to explain properly what an accomplished pianist her daughter was. A year or so later, I had 0 early elementary kids playing hands together. I had all these beginners, and I thought to myself, if that woman had her daughter in lessons now, she would look at this. Think her daughter was amazing at piano because she would just be comparing them to all the other early elementary kids. And I had 30 early elementary kids at the time. who are playing hands together. I wonder if that had been the case if the mother would have had her daughter practice less. She seemed to base all of her thoughts on how her daughter was doing based on how those were around her doing and not on her daughter's own potential. We talk about comparison being the thief of joy, but it can also be the thief of progress. Comparison can hold back motivated, hardworking kids as much as it demotivates those who are struggling. I often think one of the best things that we can teach children is how to find a deep internal pride in what they do, while still drawing inspiration from those around them. One important thing you can do to help both yourself and your child avoid comparisons is to focus really hard on how hard your child has worked. You can make compliments about the time they have spent practicing. You can talk about how much they've improved over time. You can talk about how good their dynamics are. Over time, your child will learn to notice these things in their own playing, and you can even ask them to notice what in their own playing to encourage them to notice more. So, like, you can say stuff like, "What did you think you did super well this time?" But after you've given them the framework of saying, "Wow, those dynamics were great. Wow, I really liked how you sung your right hand out. Wow, your rhythm was really good." Those kinds of things. You ask your child, did they do their best to get ready for a recital? If yes, then they did absolutely amazing no matter what. If not, how can you make a plan to do better next time? If your child is good at noticing all the things they do well, then taking the positives from another child's performance or progress will be inspiring, not demotivating, so long as you can do that without comparing the peer to your child. One final note. I have heard families make comments such as, "You're right, so-and-so is in book 2, and their playing sounds great. We do dance or cheer or football or swim team, so we don't spend as much time at the piano." I do think those are comments like that are okay, because they are a real take on the reality of the situation. The kind of comments that I feel like don't work are the kind of comments that are directed at your child that are entirely derogatory. But what do you think? What kinds of comments do you try to avoid, and how do you help your child feel good about themselves? July challenge. The July challenge is to create your own challenge. I borrowed this idea from a class I took last semester where we created our own homework. Thanks, Dr. Summers. To create your own challenge, have your child or you as the parent create a challenge that takes anywhere from 10 minutes to several hours over the course of the month to complete. It can be a listening challenge, a practicing challenge, a composition challenge, a performance challenge. Write down what you did for the challenge and how it went, and let me know. I may use your challenge as a future monthly challenge. Honestly, I think sometimes professors have us do that so that they can use our homework in the future, and I don't mind. I think it's really fun, and I think it's a great idea. So yes. Why practice before a lesson might be a bad thing.